Choose life, choose a sport, choose a drop zone, choose a start time, choose a fucking big jump plane, choose turbine engines, speed, unlimited altitude, and endless horizons. Choose height, no low turns, and travel insurance. Choose jump tickets, choose tiny action cameras, choose your mates, choose a rig and matching helmet, choose swoop shorts and a range of fucking fabrics, choose 120 vertical speed and wondering who the fuck you are on a Sunday morning. Choose sitting on that couch, watching debriefs, spirit-saving slow-mos, smashing beers after last load. Choose standing on the podium at the end of it all. Choose a win you'll love every time. And the reasons? There are no reasons. Who needs reasons when you fly NZ Aerosports?
Of course, I absolutely love the NZ Aerosports business model. I mean, come on. One glance at an Icarus fuck yeah sticker and you know it lines up perfectly with the fucking pilot mentality. But outside their wonderful use of colorful language and a great company vibe, there's a long list of reasons to say NZ Aerosports, fuck yeah. NZ Aerosports blows me away right out of the gate as a canopy manufacturer with a bold offer. They give you 10 jumps on your brand new nylon to decide if you want to keep it, swap it out, or even return it for a refund. I mean, seriously, how incredible is that? That's like getting halfway through a prom and deciding you prefer the slightly racier date that goes down faster. Seriously, they do that. If you're not madly in love with your new canopy after 10 jumps, they'll let you swap it out for another size or model, or even get your money back. And the range of canopies they've got? Man, they've got a style canopy to fit every jumper and every situation with models you know and trust, like the Sapphire 3, the perfect choice for the beginner or intermediate canopy pilot. The Crossfire 3, when you're ready to kick it up that elliptical notch. The JFX 2, if you're looking to up your new swoop game. The Leia as the workhorse and dirtwater dirt beast, or the Petra. The Petra cranks out crazy power and is nothing short of a record breaker. But hey, it's not always about speed either. Take the Kraken. Built as a low pack volume canopy specifically with wingsuiting in mind, she gives you all the performance you're looking for with the reliability you need that'll have you itching for that next formation, rodeo, or puffy cloud. So the equipment is top of the line kick-ass stuff as you already know, but how about the team? Well, the customer service gang is there to sort you out whenever you need them. Maddie and Beto are always there to help with Jen holding the reins. They're available for you at sales@nzaerosports.com, and they've got a kick-ass live chat tool on the website if you're wanting to hit someone up right away. These are the crew you're going to want to talk to get those custom orders in. With the stock nylon, once you know what you want, they'll have that shit on a FedEx truck as soon as the credit card machine says approved and get you in the air in no time. For your custom orders, you'll be able to get a time frame for building and shipping when you design it, so get to it. And demos. They've got demos in the US available from their partner Rock Sky Market. The whole US demo fleet is there with Sapphire 3, Crossfire 3, Kraken, JFX2, and Leia canopies in a range of sizes. They also offer student and tandem demos in the US. Bottom line, every step of the way, NZ Aerosports is there to get you what you need, and I personally couldn't be happier to be teamed up with them here on Lunatic Fringe. And now, time to get started with Lunatic Fringe Into the Void, brought to you proudly by NZ Aerosports. Fuck yeah.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! Back in the can for another edition of Lunatic Fringe Into the Void. Cheers, gentlemen. You've both been here before, so who the fuck are you guys? Let's do this again.
Omar Alhegelan, sitting next to David Jr. Ludvic.
Cool. Very cool. Well, cheers to both you gentlemen. Thank you for coming back in. We're here to talk about an upbeat, chipper subject, death.
Yep.
We're gonna knock this one off. We all kind of sat down and talked about the fact that although we deal with it all the time, we don't seem to talk about it too much, or if we do, skydivers glaze over it. So I thought this would be a really good setting to be able to hammer out all the shit that's happened over. Well, fuck. I mean, collectively, we've been skydiving for what, 80 years?
70, 80 years. Yeah,
absolutely.
Fucking hell. Jesus, that's a long time.
I mean, this guy next to me is a little bit older than so. Hey, watch your words there, buddy.
Hey, let's not start tossing around the age insults anytime here soon. So,
hey, for once I'm the young guy, I'm gonna soak this in a little bit.
Yeah, do as much as you can. All right, so I mean, there's not really any way to segue into this because obviously, as skydivers, we deal with something that most, and we'll just call them normal people, most normal people deal with on a dramatically smaller scale than we do. So I think we've got unique coping mechanisms, or at least we're used to having to cope with this. And I really want to talk about how we deal with things the way that we do. And I'm sure you guys have noticed too. It's a unique thing.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that other than us, the biggest group, biggest segment out there that has to deal with it is the military.
Sure.
So it's something that is pretty taboo, and nobody really wants to talk about it. It's something you want to put in the back burner. We all know it happens, but no one really wants to tackle the issue and speak openly about it.
Sure. Well, it's kind of a okay, yeah, that happened. Acknowledge it. Now move on. So we acknowledge it and we pay our respects. But I think that's the other fucking weird thing is that in the day of social media now, it's you put up the black picture and you say your condolences, and that's as public as it gets, and then you deal with it on your own. I mean,
and I think we experience it so much throughout our careers and throughout our lives that I think we're a little bit, like you said, more accustomed to it, and we kind of get numb to it.
Sure. Well, I mean, with you guys, for family or friends that are not in skydiving, how do they react to the way you react to it? Because I know for me personally, my friends or family members that aren't in skydiving cannot figure out how I cope with constant loss. Because in their minds, I'm almost always posting a memorial. It's almost always me saying goodbye to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I realized it a little bit with injury as well. Like we as a community, when somebody gets injured, we want to look at the video. We want to see what happened, how it happened, why it happened. And most people don't really understand that as much. And I came into it with my own personal life with my best childhood friend. His son got injured mountain biking, which we got to get them on the podcast one of these days.
Sure.
Little badass mountain biker, and he got pretty seriously injured. And my thought is, okay, you're okay. You're healing up. Nothing, beyond the surgery, like he'd ruptured his spleen and stuff like that. And it's one of those, okay, what happened?
Sure.
And I actually asked him, like, was there a video of it? And it kind of like freaked him out a little bit
You wanted
when
to see?
When I asked about the video, because for me, that's how I learn. I don't know if you guys are the same, but I learn from watching other people's mistakes.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. It's having to deal with the normal people in this regard is very, very strange. Same with you?
Yeah, well, for me, I don't know. You get the family and friends, obviously, that always say, I'm sorry for your loss,
sure,
in social media and so on. But I don't really reflect too much. I don't show people too much of my suffering.
Sure.
I'm not one of those people that is very open about it. I internalize everything and I try to deal with it myself.
Sure.
And I try to find a different perspective and look at it in a different way.
Sure.
Much like in the tarot cards, when you have the death card.
Right.
People are like, oh my God, it's the death card. Well, no, the death card is actually a good card.
Sure.
Because it's the end of something but the beginning of something else.
Sure.
So, but for me, it's more about internalizing and actually dealing and mourning and feeling the pain myself.
Sure.
And beyond that, celebrating the death of the person and trying to remember all the good times and all the good things they did and all the wonderful things that happened.
Well, it's funny that you said when you get the condolences from people, I hate it. I hate it when someone says, I'm sorry for your loss, because it almost cheapens it. Kind of. And I know that they mean well, but I know that they don't get it and they don't understand. So I tend to be very reserved in saying anything nowadays, especially unless it's somebody, that I really feel I need to voice. And that's actually what started this podcast, was an extremely close friend from way back in the day, a guy by the name of Kevin Love, who a lot of people that are listening, I'm sure know, just passed away recently. And it's very strange because, and maybe you guys have the same experience, in skydiving, when we lose someone, 8 times out of 10, we're not there. It's long distance. It's such a big community, and there's no fucking closure when it's someone that's 5,000 miles away and you weren't there and you didn't see anything. And so I expect him and other close friends from years past to just come strolling through the door because there's that closure's not there. So it's really fucking weird, right?
And I mean, even if you are there and you don't necessarily experience it. I mean, we've all been to the World Free Fall Convention. We've all seen fatalities and stuff like that there and other boogies, and you hear about it, you're on the drop zone, but you're not there to witness what's going on, and it still has that same kind of feeling to it, like you're waiting for them to walk in the door at the next boogie. Or
well, for you, actually, it's kind of funny. On our very first podcast, and this is one of the big things that skydivers do is we make light, obviously, of stuff like that. There's no such thing as the phrase too soon in skydiving. You're making jokes almost as quick as you can because it's a great coping mechanism. But when you and I were talking, I knew that your father had passed away skydiving, but I did not know that it was at the convention. And somehow we got talking about the convention, and I made a sideways comment of, oh, yeah, with the convention, it was never if somebody dies, it's how many.
Yep.
And that's when you uncorked that's where my dad died. That's
where my dad died.
And I just jaw on the floor going, oh, well, fuck.
And I mean,
mouth and start foot.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
He definitely put his foot in. But I'm very open with anybody that asks me about it, and I think that's because it's the best way that people can learn.
Sure. Well, and that's one of the reasons.
It's a better understanding, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm still doing what I'm doing, is because of that day.
Well, so that's what I wanted to ask you is specifically because that's a different kind of loss, right? I mean, we've all lost close friends and everything, but this was not just a close friend of yours. This was your dad.
Yep, my dad and my best friend.
And you kept going.
Because it's what he loved. It's what I loved. We knew the risk. I don't think my mom, and I think I talked about this before, I don't think my mom necessarily took it the same way that I did. I mean, of course, it's tough, and it killed me inside. But even the two of us, because my mom had that distance. My mom was back home in Michigan at the time, and we were at the convention. And this is when the convention moved, so it was in Rantoul. And because it happened, and it's a big operation that's going on, I had heard that somebody had died, and somebody said that they can't find my dad. They didn't know where my dad was. He didn't come in from the last load or whatever. Blah blah blah. And I remember waiting to get the news, and luckily one of the guys that would run the World Free Fall Convention medical team was from my home drop zone. He was a doctor that worked for University of Michigan, and he was one that came in and said it was my dad.
Jesus.
But not being able to see the body, not being able to really be a part of it, I was very much like what you said. And there was a lot of days that I was waiting for him to walk through the door like, oh yeah, it's just a joke. He's going to pop in any moment.
Right.
And you go like that and it's years.
Still. I don't, for anybody that I mean, I've only been there for one friend who passed away, and it was very in my face and very graphic, and I was there trying to do CPR and stuff, and funny enough, for as horrible as that was, it was also the easiest to get past. Yep. Because there was there was no question. He's gone. Okay, I need to now it's time to move on. And not even a week later, we're all making jokes about it. And again, like you, Omar, you deal with it in your personal way, but in that public persona, especially around skydivers, you're making jokes as quick as you can, try and make light of it. It's strange.
Well, at the end of the day, you've got different types of deaths. And when you lose a skydiver, skydiving or base jumping, well, at least you take comfort in the fact that he died doing what he loves. He died following his passion.
That makes sense.
It makes total sense. It's so much harder when you lose a friend to cancer, when you lose a friend to suicide. That's a completely different pill to swallow.
Sure.
And I think this is part of the reason why we're here, to try to digest these different types of death and how we deal with each one of those.
Sure.
And so, like I said, we've all lost friends skydiving. And God bless them. Yes, you feel bad that they're dead. It's a selfish thing. They're gone.
Yeah.
But it's us that are missing them. We miss their company. We miss the time we spent with them. So we can only reflect on the past and be super happy and try to imagine and remember all the good times that we had together. But when someone dies on a deathbed because of cancer, or because of another illness, that is difficult. That is tough. How do you swallow that pill?
Yeah.
And I don't have the answer.
No.
I don't know if you guys do, but I personally don't. And suicide takes it that next level.
Oh man, I tell you what, I react to it differently every single time, and I know you guys are the same. That there hasn't been a year in the last probably 20 years that I haven't either lost someone that I've met, was friends with, or was extremely close friends with, and it's almost you're waiting for it every year. You're like, okay, who am I saying goodbye to this year?
You see the black photo come up, or the one random person who has to be the first person to post on social media that says whatever, and you're just like, do I know this person? Who was it? Or you see the person that put it up, and you know the person.
Yes.
So now you're contacting them, like, what happened? Who was it? What's a black photo for?
Absolutely. And that's I had a great conversation with Tracy Baum, who's a jumper out of Arizona. She was out of Elsinore as well. And her husband passed away on a jump. He was a friend of mine as well, and a great friend to a lot of the Midwest skydivers. And when I had her on the podcast, her basic point was, please, people, stop fucking posting on Facebook or social media until after family members have been notified. She's like, Tom's nephew found out when he pulled up Facebook.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that is no fucking way for someone to find out that their loved one is gone. It's not. And I've been guilty of it before, and I'll tell you what, I changed my way after Tracy had that conversation. I'm like, you know something, I never put myself in those shoes, because you just want to memorialize this person. I want to show my respect for this person. And you don't realize you're doing some damage by doing that, because Facebook goes everywhere, and there's people that are seeing it that haven't found out yet. That's a fucked up way to learn.
There's been a couple people in the past few years that I've actually sent them messages on Facebook like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Take down your post right now. The family doesn't know.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when I talked to Janet Love, Kevin's wife, she approached me to let me know what had happened. And before I talked to anybody, and I know many of Kevin's good friends as well, I asked her permission. Can I speak to anyone? I'm not going to post anything until you say it's okay, but there's some people I'd like to reach out to.
Absolutely.
So I made sure I had permission to do that. And again, you never know how anybody else is going to react. We all react in different ways. I never know from one to the next how I'm going to react.
I am so, so grateful to the fact that social media wasn't a thing when my dad died, because the news would have beat me home. Yeah. Without a doubt. And I would have probably wanted to kill that person.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Whoever was the first to post something up, and to have my mom find out, or have a family member find out like that. It's uncalled for. Well,
and again, back to your point, Omar, for the non-skydivers that see, a jumper die jumping, I don't think that they see it the same way that we do. I mean, it must seem almost as useless a death to a lot of people as a suicide or a car wreck,
Absolutely.
So it's very difficult, right? To try and explain to people, this is what I choose, and I know the risks. And I think maybe when you're just getting started in skydiving, you don't really soak up the risks until it's hit home. And how's it hit home? It's by fatality, right?
And that's one of those things, like you go to a lot of drop zones out there, because skydiving has gotten pretty safe. I would say the gear continues to get safer.
Yeah.
People have a tendency to be a little bit smarter with what's going on. There's a lot of drop zones out there that people don't know what it's like to actually lose a friend. And I think it's different when you lose somebody. Like I first started skydiving, and a couple weeks after I started skydiving, there was an accident on the drop zone. I wasn't there that day, but apparently one of the older jumpers had a malfunction, cut away, and had a malfunction with his reserve. It was an old round reserve. LOPO with a half diaper, and he spiraled into the ground. And as bad as that was, I didn't know him. I wasn't there. And then a few months later, there was a King Air crash at a nearby drop zone where everybody on board died.
Sure.
And that was completely different. I knew those guys.
Sure.
I'd known the kids from the pilot. The pilot that was flying.
Yeah.
He had three kids. And I knew them because they were close to my age and stuff. So it's a little bit different when you experience something like that when you're newer in the sport. It gives you a bit of a little bit more respect for the sport, I think.
Sure. Well, I had that same reality check very early in the sport as well. I had, I think, less than 20 jumps in the gear that I rented all the time. A fellow that had graduated not too long before me got caught up in a dust devil and ended up getting killed. And when I went out the next week to make the jump, I found out as I'm putting on the gear that he died on the gear that I was putting on. And that was a bit of a reality check. You know, that's...
Yeah, I had a bit of a reality check like that as well when I was going through my rigger course. I was doing my rigger certification course, and only to find out that the gear that I was actually inspecting and going through was Roger Nelson's gear.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And the rigger examiner told me about it. Like, after I was done with it, I was just like, it was that moment of, oh shit. Like, that realism of what I was dealing with.
And how about you? Was it early in the sport for you that you kind of realized what was at stake?
You know, I always knew about it, but it didn't touch me up until probably my third year. So, yeah, it was I had a death, a very close friend that died about 3 years into it. And then since then, you know, twice I've been next to a dead body, one giving CPR and another one just dealing with everything. And worst of all things, having to call his wife, who was pregnant at the time, to let her know because she wanted to come to the drop zone. And I'm like, there's nothing for you to see. It was a low hook turn right into the tarmac. It wasn't a pretty sight.
Yeah.
And talk about the hardest phone call I've ever made in my life.
I can't even imagine.
Yes. To this day, I still feel that I did a bad job and I could have done it so much better. And there's so many things I could have done differently. And, you know, you're always your own worst critic. But it's rough.
That's not the way to think about it, though.
No, absolutely not.
You can't think about it like that. You did the best that you could do in that situation.
But still, it's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to beat yourself up because we're the ones that are still here to beat up. You know, I mean, we've got to deal with the rough memories because you're dealing with it, and then you're having to do that as well. And,
absolutely,
man, it's
absolutely.
Do you guys find that you react differently every time?
I don't want to say I'm colder, but I guess I am.
I'm colder.
I am. I that has to be the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely reacted different. Each time it's different. Each time I feel like I'm a little bit more switched off during the situation.
First time I was on the drop zone for a fatality, I remember after the fact that the drop zone, everybody on the drop zone was devastated. It was a Skydive Las Vegas, so it was a relatively small drop zone, and everybody's wiped out. There's people crying. The guy was a visitor skydiver, but it doesn't matter. Somebody just died. And there's two pretty salty Englishmen sitting down eating cold spaghetti and shooting the shit back and forth. And they're both close friends of mine, but they'd been in the sport and both been in the military. So they'd seen some shit. And they were very casual about it. And one of the girls on the drop zone that was really busted up made a comment along the lines of, how can you guys just sit there and eat? And I'll never forget it. One of them looks up and with a very straight face just says, well, he's still dead, isn't he? And I remember thinking, that's the coldest fucking thing I've ever heard. I can't believe he just said that. And cut to not even a dozen years later, that's the first thought going through my mind. You know, as a pilot, when I am told to hold the drop because something happened, my question is always the same: broken or dead? Because if they're just broken, okay,
keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're dead, it means more paperwork, but keep it going. It's really weird, right? I mean, some of them still, if it's close though, it still hits home.
The first time I was on the drop zone for something like that was actually, I think, one of my first World Free Fall conventions. So it was either 99 or 2000, and you know, fatality happens. Everything shuts down for 30 minutes, 45 minutes until they can do what they have to do with the medical team coming out and everything, and then props are turning and people are jumping again. And I just kind of looked, and I was with my dad at the time, and I kind of looked at him. I was like, man, it's pretty fucking cold.
Yeah.
And
well, you guys have seen it over all the years. Every time there's a public fatality in skydiving, there's a spike in business.
Yeah.
There's more tandems. More people want to come out and jump because what has been perceived as a relatively safe sport all of a sudden is risky and edgy again. Oh my God, somebody died. Let's go. But I suppose that's just human nature.
Yeah, it's always like that though. After as soon as the pandemic kind of lifted up a little bit, we saw things kind of lightening up and the lockdown started going away. What were people doing? They were getting out to the drop zones and they were making tandem skydives again.
Yep.
The same thing. I've seen it from all the drop zones I used to work at, that as soon as an incident is in the newspaper, regardless of what it is.
Oh yeah.
Skydiving wise, when grandma almost fell out of the tandem in Lodi, man, we had the busiest next month and a half, 2 months, and that we've seen.
Yeah.
At my old drop zone for years.
It's a trip.
I don't know if you guys remember a very old movie from the late 60s, early 70s, The Gypsy Moth.
Yeah, oh God, yes. Fucking epic movie.
And it brings about that exact same point. Right after Burt Lancaster dies from flying that wingsuit, the next day is the 4th of July.
Yep.
And here comes the parade. And the guy turns a corner, the band leader, and there's no one there. Why? Because everybody went to the drop zone to see the next guy trying to fly that suit again.
Yep.
So, case in point.
It's a trip. Well, and that's part of the fact that we deal with it in joking ways and we make light of it so quickly. I think it helps quite a bit, but it's that morbid curiosity that the non-jumpers have. And I don't know. I mean, it's so strange to see us deal with it and see skydivers completely avoid dealing with it. That's the big thing, right? Is I think a lot of the time you make the joke and then people just don't cope with it. And then it kind of comes back to haunt them. I mean, it's no joke, the shit that we deal with. And death has been a constant companion my entire career, just like I'm sure it is your guys' career. It's weird, too, because I read a post on Facebook maybe a week ago, and a guy was talking about death being something he thinks about every single day. And at first, as I'm reading it, I'm like, well, that's a little overstated. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, maybe that's not so overstated. As I'm flipping through Facebook, and I have constant reminders of friends that are gone, or I look around my own apartment at pictures and memorial and all this stuff of people that are gone, or a tattoo that I have that reminds me of something, and it dawned on me that no, actually I do in one way or another think about death every single day. Not mine, but just the fact that it's kind of always here.
Somehow our own mortality, or at least for me, my own mortality is always in the back of my mind, but I don't really think about it. I know it's there. It's always there to remind me, but I'm not really paying attention to it.
Sure.
Although the mortality of others around keeps coming back every single day, like you say, pretty much one way or another, especially with social media. How many times we go through posts come up, here's a reminder from 10 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, there's 3 people in that photo that are no longer with us.
Yeah.
And, that's tough. But you know what? Again, celebrate their life. Is all I can do is change my perspective and be positive about it. On a point that you were talking about how much safer our equipment is, not just our equipment, our mentality also. I remember when I started jumping, everybody was pulling a 2.5.
Yep.
Right? Now all of a sudden
2.5, not 2.
Thank you. Exactly. Good point. And now all of a sudden everyone's pulling a 3.54.
Yeah.
Which makes a huge difference.
Oh, yes.
You guys know about how much of a difference that makes.
Oh, damn right.
But so I think the mentality has changed, not just the equipment, and for the better.
I agree. Absolutely. It's here you go. Have yourself a pour. I don't do these things sober. Are you kidding? Especially not this one. Well, that was it was really weird when I found out that Kevin had passed. He and I started skydiving with him. That was the very, very beginning. The first video I ever shot was wearing his camera helmet. The second video was him doing a 4-way with Lou Sandboard, for Christ's sakes. So I got to do a lot of really cool stuff with this. And as upset as I was, I kept going back to the fact that all the memories that I was having of him just made me fucking laugh. Even the shitty ones, even the arguments and the stupid shit that we did, I had to just kind of grin. And it's so, I guess the one word that I came up with for my entire skydiving career is bittersweet. It's very bittersweet, right? Because, I mean, it's the best memories of my life wrapped up with the fucking worst occurrences. Yeah. It's so strange. So I never really know how I'm going to react to any given fatality. And I don't handle death particularly well. Any death, it doesn't matter, bothers me, but only on a superficial level to anybody else but me.
And here's the thing about, we're all pretty much, to a certain extent, expats here.
Yeah.
And so when we lose someone, we're so many miles away that most chances are we can't even go for their funeral.
No.
We can't go for their services. We can't go see them. We can't go see the family.
Yep.
We have to do everything by phone. And
Yep.
it's just not the same.
It's never real.
And it brings a lot of guilt.
Sure.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but I definitely do.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you feel guilty because you can't go and you can't show support for the people that are still here. Like, I would love to go back for a memorial for Kevin. It's never going to happen.
Yep.
I'm never going to get to be there. And so you try and do as much as you can, but it feels very hollow.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It feels like you're not, like you can't really support them and the family as much as you'd want to.
Sure.
And I mean, it is difficult. I mean, traveling around as much as we do, and I mean, I've experienced death in other countries with friends that were, that had passed away and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it's always difficult, and it's even more so when your plans, you can't just up and change your plans because you have a flight to go to.
Sure.
To get back to wherever, because you got to go back to work, and other places aren't necessarily, your job might not be as understanding, or you might
Sure.
not have the ability to change everything at the last minute with flight details and everything else. So it's kind of a little bit difficult with that stuff as well.
Well, the other thing that I thought about too is the majority of skydiving fatalities that have happened are also happening during a time when we are going big and having a blast and working our asses off and jumping constantly. And so your chances are having a pretty amazing time in your own life. And then here comes this fucking left hook of tragedy. I was jumping in Wildwood doing a special boogie that we did out there when the swoop tour used to be out there.
Yep.
Yeah. And we were doing tandems out of the Alouette helicopter, out of the Cross Keys helicopter. And one of my good friends and instructors in Cross Keys, her and her boyfriend were both killed on one jump. In Cross Keys, and we did not stop operating just 30 miles away, and it kept doing those tandems. And I remember climbing on board that helicopter to do that first tandem hours after she had died was fucking horrifying. And how do you explain to your tandem student why you're fighting back tears? I was bawling in free fall. But of course, as soon as the student's back on the ground and unhooked, it's back to pro and big smiles and all that stuff. Fucking weird, right?
It is. I mean, one of the coolest skydives of my entire life happened the same day that one of my best friends died.
I mean,
and we're coming back on the highest high that you could ever possibly be from doing this amazing skydive. We did base XRW and held it and flew it for a long time. We get back and we find out that one of our best friends is dead.
It's fucking crazy, right? I mean, it's so hard to balance those two because it's both emotions all the time. And my girlfriend has a difficult time understanding because in the 3 years that she and I have been together, I've lost a couple of close friends and a bunch of people that I knew. And I've told her from the beginning, please don't try and comfort me. Don't try and offer condolences to me. Just don't acknowledge it because I'll deal with this my own way. And I just kind of do my own thing. But it's very difficult for them to understand, right? I would not want to be in her shoes.
Absolutely. And Junior, as you said, it's a perfect juxtaposition. It's exactly what we're dealing with, meaning we've got the death, but we have to see the positive side of it. And that's exactly what you went through in that jump. And that's exactly what we deal with all the time. And I'm exactly the same way in terms of that. I'm like, please don't comfort me. Just leave me alone. I will process it on my own in my own way.
Yep.
And it's horrible for the partner. And it's
gotta
terrible.
be.
It's terrible for Sherry. It's terrible for my wife. She's the one that if something were to happen to her, she wants that and she needs that from her partner.
Sure.
Whereas I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, I'll process it on my own, in my own way. Just please don't worry about it.
And it's go ahead.
No, I mean I've got the better side of that with my wife. I mean, Nicole's a skydiver. She's been around it just as much as we have. So she handles it the way she handles it. I handle it the way I handle it.
Sure.
We're both there for each other if we need it, but we also know to give each other the space to kind of process it on our own. And you want to talk?
Sure.
We're there to talk. If you don't want to talk, it's...
Well, and I've even tried. I've thought about it when I've had a loss and I'm like, all right, I'm going to open up. I'm going to talk to this person and I'm going to let them comfort me. And the time comes to actually do it. And I'm just frozen, just cold. I can talk about it, but it's straight faced, emotionless, just just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. You know, that's all they get. And I can't fucking get that emotion to come up. As soon as they walk out the door, I'm a big puddle of fucking goo on the floor, drinking wine and fucking having all these memories and all that stuff. And you do it however you do it. But when it comes to other people, especially non-skydivers, it's just gone.
I think because we're so emotionally sensible, that's the problem. We're so sensitive that we can't. It's either on or off.
Yeah.
You know, we can be middle of the road. Okay, let me share my. No, dude, I'm either a total mess, like you said, or I can be there talking about it, but I'm going to be cold.
Yeah.
I can't be both.
Well, I suppose if you had the entire skydiving community was open and super sensitive, most of us would be walking around crying and fucking having fits.
It would be horrible. It would be horrible.
Most of the time.
Thank God it's not that.
Right? Well, and so that falls back to the whole sense of humor thing, because I think that's a big safety net for a lot of people. And I said earlier, I don't think there's a phrase as too soon in skydiving. There clearly is, but
100%.
Right? You know, I mean, and
I don't think any of us do it with disrespect. I think I think we do it with as a way of coping. Like, we're not disrespecting that person's life or disrespecting their death or anything else like that. I think it's just a coping mechanism.
I think it's exactly the opposite of showing disrespect. If anything, that's very much showing respect, because if I went in on a skydive, I would not want people balled up in the corner having, emotional fits. I'd want them cracking fucking jokes at my expense.
Absolutely.
Just like when I'm alive.
Remembering what I was, not the way I died.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Absolutely.
Because that's irrelevent.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
The way we die is relevant.
Well,
what
and
matters is who we are and how we're remembered.
How we live.
Yeah, well, and it's those too soon groaning moments that make everybody go, "Oh, Jesus, he would have loved."
Yeah.
Right? It's those kind of jokes, it's again even harder for the non-skydivers, or not even just skydivers, but people involved in high-risk activities, soldiers and such.
Absolutely.
I think for anybody that doesn't do that, it's got to be almost impossible to understand. It has to be. I don't know what my mom thinks. My parents have seen me lose. I don't even know how many people. I stopped counting.
Well, we've been on here with our moms before,
Yeah.
And both of us have pretty cool moms.
Yeah.
My mom definitely understands what I do. She understands the loss. And I think as our parents get a little bit older, they lose more and more of their friends, but they're losing them from, I think, cancer and painful deaths and long. Maybe one of them just closes their eyes and they're lucky enough to go in their sleep. But
sure.
The way the world is right now, you see people dying from horrible illnesses. I'm much happier that my dad died the way he did.
Sure.
Than had he been in a hospital for weeks on end, dying a slow, painful death. That's not who he was. He was meant to go out the way he went out, and you accept that and you respect it and you have fun with it.
Sure. Well, it's definitely
not really have fun with it, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, over all the years, it's kind of funny because you, especially when you're younger, you don't think about the consequences of a lot of things. You think you're going to live forever, and then you hit that middle ground where you realize that shit can go wrong, but you don't think it's going to happen to you. And then somewhere along the lines, that transition comes where something not happening to you being a positive becomes oh fuck. I might be 90 years old and have said goodbye to everybody. And I don't even know where that transition happened, that I just woke up one morning and thought, I might outlive all these people. And that's crazy, right?
Every time I get on the phone with my mom, I see it. My mom's like, "Oh, so-and-so passed away. You remember so-and-so from back where, back in the old neighborhood, her husband passed away from this, or this one's sister passed away." And it's just,
it's so strange.
I feel so bad. I'm just like, yeah, sorry about that, Mom. It sucks. And I've got nothing else to say at this point.
What's the weirdest way you've ever coped with it? Because I've had a couple of ones that just caught me out of left field. But has there been any instance where mentally you're just like, this is how I feel about this? I've had some strange ones.
With Kevin, I think I just because Kevin was the last one, so it's the most recent in my mind.
Sure.
I think I think it was actually you that sent me the message.
I think so, yeah.
And said something to me about it before I'd even heard back from the States. You were Johnny on the spot with that one. And I think I just put my headphones in, and I don't remember if I went for a run or a bike ride or if I went down to the gym, but I just put music in, and that's how I dealt with it. Well, in the beginning anyway, it was a rough few days for sure, but actually I think I might have actually called up Nicole and said something to her, and she's like, why are you hitting me with this right now?
Yeah.
Like, you should have saved this for this evening.
I had this
when I got home. I'm like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I just kind of overwhelmed
We don't
you.
think about that though, right?
I didn't. I dumped it all on her in the first thing in the morning, and I felt horrible afterwards. Like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about anything. It was just, I heard it and I needed to talk to somebody about it at that moment. She's like, just give Dean a call.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just ruined your morning. I love you. Have a good day. I'll talk to you when you get home.
I got shit from my girlfriend not telling her, and I'm like, but that's just kind of not how I'm wired. Like, I know you won't understand, and I know the first thing you're going to want to do is, make me feel better, and which is the last thing I want. Like, the whole I'm sorry for your loss thing doesn't apply. And I can't even explain to you exactly why. Because obviously I did lose something. This was a close friend, but it just doesn't make sense to me for some reason. And I don't know why.
For me, the processing mechanism is more of living in the now and splurging on my family, knowing that tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Sure.
And so every time I hear something bad, every time I get these kind of bad news, boom, I just go and I just splurge on the family. So,
sure.
Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Okay, well, how much do we have in the bank? Let's spend it all. Type of thing. Because,
so what is it? Does Sherry go, wait a second, we're having a lot of fun. Who the fuck died?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Because, like I said, tomorrow is never guaranteed.
Sure.
You don't know. And this is one thing that skydiving has taught us.
Sure.
It's taught us how to live in the now.
Yeah.
Because we've dealt with this so many times that we know there's no guarantees.
Well,
so what do we have to do? Well, let's make the best of today.
It makes you appreciate everything for sure.
100%.
Every time I want to bitch about aches and pains or another gray hair or thinning fucking hairline or all that stuff, I think of all the people that didn't get nearly this far. And go, okay, you literally have nothing to bitch about. Every lost hair, every ache and pain is a privilege. So it's a wonderful way to be able to look at it,
If ever ache and pain is a privilege, all three of us are very privileged right now.
Extremely privileged right now.
All I know is they should have started a fund for an old folks home for skydivers of our generation about 20 years ago, because all of us are fucked.
I'm still, Nicole and I are still convinced you're going to wind up living in our basement.
I probably will. As long as it's a big pimp ass basement, I'm good.
Just keep a room for me, please.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I've had some strange ones. The funniest reaction I ever had, I had lost touch, as it goes with skydiving. You'll have a close friend, and then for whatever reason, you end up at different drop zones. And you're always close friends, but you drift apart. You don't talk anymore, or you talk infrequently. And at the time, he was my closest friend, a guy by the name of J.J. Jaworski, was jumping in Vegas. And he and I were, left and right hand for probably 2.5 years. And I lost track and hadn't talked to him in years. And he had gone down a bit of a rough road and changed up a bunch of stuff. Wasn't jumping anymore. And I got a message that he was gone. And throughout being told what was going on, he had chosen to take his own life and did it in spectacular JJ fashion. He was a little out there and jumped in front of a train in Las Vegas, which was effective. And my very first thought was, there's a train in Las Vegas? Right?
Right.
That was my first thought, was there's a fucking train that goes through Las Vegas? And then it dawned on me that was the first thing that I thought. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so bad. But that's just how I reacted to it. I was not shocked that he was gone, but that somehow he found the strangest fucking way in Vegas, of all places. And again, like you said earlier, the whole death outside of skydiving, and especially when it comes to suicide, is I don't have that mentality. So it's very, very difficult for me to understand how someone gets to that place. And so you kind of just have to take a deep breath and go, that's, I guess, what they wanted when it happened. And they were friends, and you don't want them gone, but you can't second guess things for them.
And there's nothing you can do to change it either. So, we don't have that type of mentality. Like I've never had that that thought has never crossed my mind.
No.
I can honestly say that. Like, I've never had that thought cross my mind as long as I've been alive.
No.
No matter how much trouble I've been in or whatever throughout my life, you know, it's never been a...
Sure.
That's not an option.
Well,
it's suck it up and deal with the cards you got.
I'm the same way, but by the same token, you can sympathize to how much pain they must
Sure.
have been going through in order
Absolutely.
to feel that. I mean, think about it. For things to be that bad,
Oh, yeah.
that this is the only solution,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
got to be horrible.
oh yeah, I can't even imagine.
And neither can I. And that's the thing. All of us, like you said, we haven't thought about it. We couldn't even imagine about
No.
thinking it.
No.
So that pain has had to be so out there.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
that thought to cross their mind. And then not only for the thought to cross their mind, but to take action.
Absolutely.
Because God knows we've heard of so many people who attempt it
Sure.
and aren't able to do it.
Well, the attempting is just a cry for help.
Well,
I think more than anything, the people that really have made their mind up, they do it, and they never let anybody know anything about it.
You know, when it comes to that, I saw an interview and watched a documentary that was made about people that committed suicide jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge.
So I saw it.
You
also.
saw that?
I saw it about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
or
so it
17
was
years
this.
ago.
It was this horrifying, very poignant, very well done.
very graphic because they
Very
had footage.
graphic,
They had
absolutely.
cameras there.
And I'll never forget, they interviewed the one guy who jumped off the bridge, and he said, the instant I let go of the bridge, I regretted it.
Right.
And he lived.
Yep.
But he talked about the instant that I let go, I realized how bad I fucked up, and I wished that I could take it back. But what stuck with me more than anything was the final scene of that. And it was the most intensely graphic, and not graphic in the way that he died, but graphic in where he must have been mentally, because this guy's standing there, a long dark trench coat, talking on a cell phone, smoking a cigarette, and you don't have any sound with this, and the video's back a little bit ways, but he's just smoking a cigarette, and he finishes the cigarette, drops it on the ground, stomps it out, closes the cell phone, stands up on the railing, turns around, and just nesties backwards off the Golden Gate Bridge, doesn't kick, doesn't flinch once.
Nothing.
And I remember thinking, I was awestruck. I really was.
It was so powerful.
This guy was so committed to what he was doing that there wasn't any hesitation. He just spun around on that rail and leaned backwards and never kicked.
He accepted it.
Right?
He was there.
Amazing. So for the God knows how many people that maybe they're just having a bad year, and like that kid who let go of the bridge and regretted it, this guy, he knew that's what he wanted. You know. He knew that's what he wanted. So, but again, I can't put myself in the mentality of somebody that's going through that kind of pain. I can't. And I used to think, like a lot of people do, suicide is selfish, this and that. And I've grown out of that and started to really try and put myself in their shoes, in that, all right, if it's that bad, then I cannot ever understand. So who am I to say it's selfish? You're going to do what you're going to do, you know?
Yeah, it's very sad. I just read in the news of a 17-year-old kid who took his life because he was trading options on Robinhood, on the new trading app.
Yeah.
And the app actually told him that he was in debt with $700,000, which was a mistake. He was only indebted by $10,000 or $12,000, and he ended up taking his life. I mean, imagine what a 17-year-old kid must feel like.
No, I can't even begin to imagine.
Well, I mean, talking to my grandfather, who's long passed, but I remember hearing stories from him talking about the Great Depression and you know, when the stock market crashed, because he was a young man living in New York, and he remembers, you know, people, you know, leaping to their death because of, you know, they had lost everything that they had in the stock market, and they had no idea what else to do.
I remember thinking the only suicides that I really had a tough time swallowing after I became a skydiver was the couple of times that I know people have decided to take their lives skydiving. That stings, right?
Yep.
That's because
that's a rough one for sure.
That one, I'm torn. I'm really torn on that, between feeling really bad that it got so bad that they felt the need to take their lives, and being really pissed off that they chose our sport to do it. Yeah. Right? Because I have an immense amount of respect for the sport and for everything that's gone into skydiving, and I would hate to think that I would make it lessen it, you know, make it worse by doing something like that. So that I can't understand. Again, I can't put myself in their shoes. but that one stings. That's tough to.
Yeah, I was on a jump with a guy that did that, and I had turned and tracked from the jump. But another jumper that we know really well was facing this kid, and he reaches back to pull and just goes back to to box position and all the way to the ground. And the same jumper saw what happened and went there and landed and was the first one to see it. And he's like, it's something that you can never unsee. And it's horrible because it deeply impacted our sport at that particular drop zone.
Well, I remember one of the times that skydiving humor was so in my face was actually with the suicide, and I forget the drop zone. I want to say Paris Valley, but it could have been anywhere. And it was a guy that decided he was going to kill himself and tracked down the runway. I think you probably heard the story. He literally aims straight down the runway to track down the runway, impacts on the runway, and bounces a couple of times down the runway. And in skydiver fashion, they nicknamed him Skip. Yeah.
There you go.
You gotta have a sense of humor about that.
Humor.
Right? I mean, you have to. But so how do you find people in the real world, or do you find people in the real world have a difficult time dealing with your humor? And has your coping mechanisms, because of the death that we've seen over the years, has it kind of alienated you from people? Because I know it has with me.
For me, I separate it. So I know the people that I can be myself with, the people that have experienced as much of it as we have. So I'm a little bit more, with you two guys in the room, with Nicole, I can be a little bit more myself and just kind of deal with it my own way.
Sure.
When it comes to families of lost, friends and stuff like that, then or even people in the real world that go through it a little bit differently than what we do, I kind of give them a different version of myself for sure. And I kind of I'm quiet and whatever, I don't deal with it the same way with other people as I do with my close friends and with my family.
I generally don't mix the two either. But where I really fucked up was after my father passed away. And it was a long, horrible death. He had a stroke and was in the hospital for almost a month and then passed away soon thereafter when he got home. And so I'd been dealing with this, had been processing this with my family, with my immediate family, with my mother, my brothers. And we went back home to bury him. And after that same night, we were basically in a family gathering of, we were probably about 20 people or so. And in my skydiving humor self, I'm like, all right, let's roast his ass. And and everybody's jaw dropped to the ground. And they're like, what the fuck, dude? And I'm like, yeah, come on. Let's celebrate his life. Let's laugh at the things he used to do that were funny. The mistakes he made. And everybody looked at me like I was insane. So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't.
Every once in a while, right?
And that's why you keep it separate.
Yep. Well, and I've even found, though, just in day-to-day life, in what I find funny in TV and movies and stuff like that, my humor has changed. My ability to view and deal with things like that has changed as well. Like I remember before I was a skydiver, the movie Pulp Fiction freaked me out. I didn't like it. Like it was way too dark. And now, Jesus, that's like watching Lady and the Tramp, I mean, yeah, let's watch fucking Pulp Fiction and the needle in the chest stuff, So the shit that I used to think was really fucking dark now is not quite so dark because I guess now I understand where that humor comes from as a coping mechanism for...
Bring out the gimp.
Yeah, right?
I'm right here. Stop talking about me.
It's strange. Plus, I suppose it also depends on how you view your own mortality, right? I'm not a person of faith, so my mortality is a very strange thing for me to contemplate because I don't know if there's a plan after the fact. So for me, I'm not a big fan of dealing with my own mortality. In fact, I remember somewhere it being said, thinking about your own death is like staring at the sun. You can do it only for a very little while. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very strange thing. And I've had it wake me up in the middle of the night and 2:00 in the morning, I'm going for a fucking jog because I need to just shake off whatever just tapped me on the shoulder. And I think that's another part of it too, is right. We deal with it so often that how do you get away from thinking about your own mortality?
I guess my way, most, monotheistic religions look at death in terms of, hey, thank you. Look at our death in terms of heaven and hell, right?
Right.
And, if you die, if you're bad, you'll go to hell. If you're good, you'll go to heaven. My perception is slightly different. It's all about what happens on this earth. If you live a happy life, if you wake up every morning and you're stoked and you love your life and you love your family and you love what you're doing, guess what? You're in heaven. If you wake up every day miserable, kicking the cat, and you're, yelling at everybody in traffic on your way to work, and you can't stand your life, you're in hell.
Sure.
So for me, it's make the best of your life now.
Sure.
Live in the now. Make the most of it now.
Sure.
And you don't have to think about that.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's
been more than one time I've seen you and gone, that's a chipper motherfucker right there. Because you really are very upbeat quite a lot.
He always is. Every time I see him, he's always got that big smile on his face.
Yeah, absolutely, which is a fantastic thing. And it pushes people to try and behave the same way. I tend to be a little bit on the rougher side.
Well, here's the thing. This is the way I look at it. There's always both sides of the spectrum. There's always someone who's got it better than you.
Sure.
But God knows there's a lot of people that have it worse than you.
Right.
And that's how I have to look at it.
Sure.
My perspective is, guess what? There's so many people out there that have it so much worse than me
that
I have to be happy. I have to smile.
Sure.
So I'm not looking to the side of the people that have more and better and so on and so forth.
Right.
And I don't dwell on looking at the people that have less. I try to just look at the middle road.
Sure.
See what I have. Be content. Be grateful for what I have. And by being grateful in this life, try to share that gratitude with all those around me.
Sure. How about you?
It's a great way to look at it.
It's great to look at you.
I love it when you look at me.
He's a sexy thing, isn't he?
I just live my life.
Yeah. Scared to die?
No, I'm not scared to die. I don't think.
Apprehensive?
I'm definitely apprehensive about it. I don't want to.
Sure.
But I know that no matter what we do, that's coming for all of us, right? What's the old saying, like, nobody gets out of this life alive?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I try to live my life. I think I do a pretty good job of it most days.
If there was a pill you could take and death was no longer on the table, would you take the pill?
Probably.
I would.
Yeah, for sure. I'd have a lot of fun with that.
And I don't know how I feel about that because I get bored relatively easily. So I can't imagine if I had eternity to deal with.
Right.
I think we're in a unique time in, human history where we're reaching for the stars now. So the idea of living a dramatically longer life than we normally do is a bit more attractive because there's going to be so much more than just this little ball we've got. But I don't know. Forever seems like a long time.
Well, here's the thing. For me, I'm not talking about those in that pill, but I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared of being paralyzed in a bed, being alert with a ventilator in my mouth. That I'm scared of. So when you say
with a nurse named Buck who liked to rent you out for a couple bucks at a time.
Yeah, nurse.
What are we doing? Are we doing a Tarantino thing here?
Nurse Ratchet. Nurse Ratchet all the way.
All right.
But at the end of the day, so if you're telling me, would you take that pill? Yeah, but as long as that pill will take care of that also, then yeah. Otherwise, hell no.
Well, somebody was it a book or something that the idea of living forever means that risks become not worth taking very quickly because of how much more you have to risk. So us as mortal men that are going to live, if we're lucky, 100 years, we're risking, for some of us, we're risking 30, 40, 50 years. Whereas if you've got the option to live 500 years or 1,000 years, you're risking a fuckload more if, you're the spry 50-year-old going out and doing stupid shit.
It's like the, the Tom Cruise movie where he dies like 100 times.
Right.
Yeah, that's actually when I decided I liked him as an actor. It's a strange thing, right? Because all the skydivers that I know are so in love with life and so passionate about what they're doing when they're jumping and when they're doing their thing. But you never know what happens once the sun goes down and everybody goes back to their own homes. And so
that's life, isn't it? Everybody has an amazing life on social media. You look at Facebook, everybody's life is either amazing or they're saying condolences for somebody being lost or something else. But the majority of people on there, you look on it, they have this amazing life.
It's a show.
And it's a show for everybody else. Instagram's a show for everybody else. But exactly that. You don't, and this comes back to the suicide talk that we were talking about before. You don't know what's going on with those people when it's behind closed doors.
What was one of the posts that I've seen quite a few times now was everyone's fighting a battle that you can't see. So, be nice type of thing, which is completely true. I know we all are, for sure.
All of us are.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, you kind of forget that sometimes. For sure. And then, unfortunately, a tragedy happens that everybody remembers for that little while. And that's the one thing that I noticed that happens, especially when it's a death in a community. Everybody's just a little bit nicer for a while.
How long is long enough?
Right? It doesn't always last.
How long do you keep that black picture?
Right.
On your,
I think that's probably why.
Or the people that put the black picture that never even knew the person. They're just doing it for the social media side of things.
See, now that's the thing I don't understand. I
knew
understand.
I was going to fire him up with this one.
Yeah, and I don't understand this. And maybe you guys can either shine some light on it or you're just as frustrated as me. Is what kind of thrill do people get out of giving fucking horrible news to people?
I don't know. I try to look at it from a positive angle. So I just think that they like you enough that they want to feel your pain, they want to share your pain, and they want to sympathize with you. That's my outlook on it.
You are a chipper guy.
if it's somebody that I'm close to, I don't mind getting that.
That's
phone
different.
Call, or I don't mind getting that message, but it should be something that's private.
Yeah.
Right. If like when you sent me the message, and I read the news, I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, and
then it's like, okay, this is coming from brother to brother, saying
sure.
What's going on, and knowing the fact that I was close with the person and whatever else, and it's not something that's a bragging. It's not out there to make yourself more popular.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, and I had a great example. You'd never met him, but a friend of Junior's and mine, and a super close friend of mine, a guy by the name of Zach, had passed away just 5 years ago now. 5 fucking years he's been gone.
Has it been that long?
5 years. 5 years. It goes by so quick.
Crazy.
But he worked with us and was flying with us, and being the way that I am, everybody knew that he had passed away, and everybody knew how close he and I were, but I wasn't going to go talk about it. It was the very next day I had to go to work and go fly, and I was kind of keeping to myself, and bless him, this motherfucker wouldn't let me walk away from it. Micah comes walking out of the building and sees me, and he's not going to post anything on social media. He's not going to do any of that bullshit. He just walks over and forces me into a hug that I fucking didn't want it. Just gives me a big hug and say, we all loved him too. And of course, now I walk away with tears streaming down my face. But I look back at that, and that's probably one of my favorite memories of Micah, is that he's like, he made sure nobody else was around. This was not for him to look like the cool guy that was giving condolences to somebody. This is because that's what he wanted to do. And I remember that vividly and had nothing but respect from him for doing that and doing it that way. And then he just walked away. It was not a, let's talk about this. What can I do for you? It was a, there you go. I've given this to you. I'm leaving. And then he was back to being fucking Micah. So that's kind of the way it should be. Not the black square for somebody that you didn't even know. Not the social media bullshit that Tracy Baum will, to this day, want to knife people for. It's that personal one-on-one stuff that I think we've lost.
The one picture that everybody gets off the internet and posts the same fucking picture because that's all they could find.
Yes. When they dig through profiles to try and find a picture that they can post, for sure. Yeah, I almost think that that's why Facebook put on the temporary profile picture shit, is so your question about what's enough. Well, I guess he was a temporary picture.
10 days. 7 days or 10 days is enough, apparently.
And I suppose it doesn't. This is not to say that it's bad to show respect on social media, because it's not. It's absolutely not. You do it respectfully. You do it after the family's been notified. You're not the first one to post shit out there, and you do it in a respectful way and in a personal way, but not just hey, I know this guy died too. Give me attention. Because that's what it seems like, right? Is that a lot of people want attention for someone else's pain.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. What emotions come up when you see the difference in reactions when someone who's a living legend dies versus someone who is a great friend, skydiver, who dies? To us, they're both equal.
Yeah.
To us, they're both identical. You probably knew one even longer than you knew the other.
Yeah.
And yet you see all this outcry for one and not the other.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. It's but that's always how it's going to be. Unfortunately, there's always going to be this weird back and forth. And this person had all these accolades and accomplishments, and so they're going to be lavished with attention after they're gone. And this guy was just a tandem instructor that threw drogues, and so it's tough. Right?
It's hard to swallow.
It is.
It's hard to deal with to a certain extent.
It is, because you kind of want to go, hey, look. Right? Look at this person. This person was fucking amazing. But that's where, and I think that's probably why people like you and I make it such a personal thing, because if you don't, it's just going to piss you off. You're just going to get bitter about it, I think.
About I'm a little bit bitter about that shit.
yeah, man. I think we all are.
Tell us how you
feel.
No,
I mean it is. I'm bitter at this point. The fact that, like I said before, that you've got to send a personal message to somebody. Hey, what the fuck are you doing posting?
Sure.
Stop.
Sure.
And now, the last couple, I've talked with my wife Nicole, and I just bite my tongue, and I just shut off social media for a couple of days, and I don't look at it anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's
just going to make me angry.
I just scroll past, and then there's the other ones that you're happy that you're seeing that these people are being memorialized, but you kind of wish that they were getting those accolades when they were still around, right?
For sure.
Yeah. I think about that a lot as well, and I'm sure everybody does. Like with Kevin, he and I had lost touch over the years, and we just recently started speaking again. In fact, I was pushing him hard to try and get him on the podcast because it would have been a fucking hilarious podcast.
I wish I knew that. I would have pushed him as well.
Oh, dude, all the stupid shit that he and I did together. It would have been fucking funny. And that's why half of the morning that I've spent with Kevin has been laughing, because I'm like, oh my God, we did this and we did that. And his wife has been sending me pictures and logbook entries from back in the day. And lucky enough for me, all the logbooks and photos that she has from his career are during my time. So it's our climbing stuff and our stupid balloon jumps over state line, all these ridiculous things. And so that kind of stuff makes it really easy, and it kind of makes it, I'm able to be a little bit more lighthearted about it, but you'd wish that you had been able to go while he's still alive and tell him all the things that I'm thinking now. And it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
And everybody says, tell people you love them while they're here. That's difficult too. Right? Because sometimes you're just fucking pissed off at somebody. Sometimes this person that you were as close to as can possible, you've drifted apart, and it's tough to pick up that phone and go, hey, I know we don't talk anymore, but,
Yeah, and that's a rough thing. I mean, I think as skydivers, we're pretty fucking close.
Sure.
We as safe as it is, we risk our lives on every skydive we do with somebody. We trust them enough to risk our life with them.
Sure.
So we're close, and when we had that separation, and I'm guilty as anybody else with losing track of some of my best friends in the entire world, where I go months or maybe even years without talking to them.
Sure.
If you're one of those people, I still love you. I'm sorry I'm such an asshole if you're listening to this, but it makes it even that much more difficult if that person's taken too soon.
Sure. Well, it's I equate that to way back in another life. I used to promote raves in San Francisco, and you would have the greatest friends in the world that you would only see at those parties. You would never speak outside the party, probably wouldn't even recognize them if you didn't bump into them at a party. But at those parties, greatest human beings ever. I only remember one girl as make a monster noise, because she would make you make a monster noise before she would talk to you. Don't know her name. Amazing person at these parties. Well, skydivers are a lot like that. At the drop zones, at the boogies, the greatest people in the world, and you sincerely feel that and sincerely think that. And then as soon as that party is over, they won't cross your mind again until you're shocked to be standing in front of them at the next boogie or the next drop zone. And it doesn't minimize it, but it makes it really weird when all of a sudden they're gone, right?
It makes it very tough for sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, how do you define a close friend? Is a close friend someone that you have that relationship in very small doses with? Yeah, I think so. I don't have to know your parents' history to consider you a close friend. But it's really, again, that's very strange, and it's a very hard thing to equate to the real world and the non-skydivers and all that. So it's,
how many times have I written to people and said, bro, even though we haven't talked in God knows how many years, and even though we don't write to each other every day and post messages, I love you, and I love you dearly, and you're just one of those people that will forever be in my heart,
Yep.
and it's genuine.
Yeah.
But it's true. Time goes by, and sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years.
Yep.
But the love is still there.
Sure. Well, and that's the strange thing. That's the positive side to social media, though, right? The connection to people that you otherwise would not be able to talk to at all.
I just had a friend from high school contact me literally 2 days ago.
Amazing, right?
That I haven't spoken to in years, and he sent me a message like, "Oh man, your friend requested me, and he just got on." I'm like, "Oh, welcome to the Book of Faces."
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to him in years, but it's amazing for that side of social media to be able to connect with somebody that you haven't talked to in so long.
Sure.
That is a good point. That is definitely the plus and the best thing that can come out.
Yeah, for sure.
Of social media.
For sure. Well, I think that's actually a positive way to kind of end the conversation in regard to all the sad stuff that we've talked about. Is social media, for all its faults, is a great way to reach out to those people that you only see at the business and only see at the party.
So if you haven't talked to somebody, go do it. Just send somebody a message and tell them you love them.
And
now, right now.
And even if it's not a specific message, if you don't know who you don't remember, because there's that many of them, just putting out that blanket message of going, hey, all you people, even if I can't remember the situations, it's a big deal, right? I mean, the reason that I'm able to handle the loss of Kevin as well as I am is because he started speaking and reached out. One of the reasons that Zach was so hard for me is because we had been brawling before he died before we inevitably would have been brothers. So it's tough, right? So yeah, take that time. Just put that post out. Send that message. Do whatever you gotta do. And otherwise, be safe. Don't be
fun. Make smart decisions.
Yes, please. Don't be the next one. And there will be next. Yeah, we all know. For those that are just getting into skydiving, if this conversation was a little bit shocking to you, that kind of sucks, but welcome to the world that you've chosen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen more than once, and there's no guarantees of how you're going to deal with it, but you are going to deal with it. But you're not going to deal with it.
You have people that look up to you and talk to you.
Cool.
Have fun.
Be more like Omar.
Oh,
Be a lot more like Omar.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm. It's not working.
I'm channeling my inner Zen a little more every day, but it's difficult.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time I see Omar around, I automatically think, "Don't be a dick." I think that. I'm not even kidding. That's what you've done for me. I'm like, I don't want Omar to see me being a dick.
I love you guys. Fuck off.
And there we go, guys. Thanks for joining. That was a good one. We'll see ya.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Another edition of Lunatic Fringe, Into the Void, in the can. Not as upbeat as the normal ones, but still.
It's still good.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Guys, brought to you, as always, by the greatest magazine in the known universe.
Blue Skies Magazine.
That's right, Blue Skies Magazine. Head to blueskiesmag.com to check them out. Also, Summit Parachute Systems, fucking A. Summit Parachute Systems, it's Jarrett Martin. If you don't know him, you should. He's amazing.
Amazing rigger, amazing guy.
He's given rigging courses, and he's building badass pilot rigs. So if you're a pilot, you need a rig, you're wanting to be a rigger, he's the guy to talk to at summitparachutesystems.com. Also, pussfoot.com. That's the Extreme Sports Collective. Just type it in, check it out. You won't regret it. Pussfoot.com. As for me, I am the fucking pilot. You can find me at thefuckingpilot.net or theprincesspilot.com. Takes you to the same place. That's where you get links to all the podcasts as well as both of the books. And hey, you guys are going to be the first ones to hear it. The audiobook I've been promising forever, because both those books are available in digital and print. The audiobook,
it's going to happen.
We're going to do something a little bit different. My co-host sitting right over here,
what's happening?
Mr. Ludvic, is going to be reading the book and commenting along with me for the entire thing. So it's going to be a really weird, kind of cool audiobook.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah. So be ready for it, because it's going to happen. All right. Anyway, I think that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Fuck off.
Fuck off.
Love you.